Wherever you are, let's just settle into this moment, settle into this now. Tune into your body, feel yourself grounded into your chair and the floor. Notice any sounds that you can hear. Notice your temperature, or physical sensation, where the texture of your clothing hits you. Just try to really become in awareness of this moment. Letting go of the thoughts that are pulling you out of the now. Just keep returning to this now moment. Letting go of the to-do list, letting go of everything undone, letting go of your roles and your identities, and just sinking in appreciation for awareness itself. All right. Welcome. I'm Halcyon. This is Hug Nation. Super good to be here with you. Today, I got a couple things I want to talk about. The first of which is 3 types of teachers: gurus, practitioners, and educators. A guru is someone who has crossed the finish line, someone who has got true mastery, either from a lifetime of walking the path or from some divine touch, some magical gift that is bestowed upon them from outside of their worldly life. And this would be the Jesuses, the Buddhas, the Krishnamurtis, the people who have come back down from the mountaintop to bestow truth upon the humans of the world. And that is significantly different from the practitioner. The practitioner is someone who is dedicated to their practice, has learned from their practice, and teaches based on the lessons of their practice. And part of that is the recognition and the acknowledgement that they are a practitioner, that they have not transcended into the realm of absolute mastery, and so often uses their stumbles and their lessons and their personal journey as part of their teaching. They acknowledge that they are flawed. The third kind, and I would say, let's say, what's a kind of a practitioner example? For me, Jacob Glass is a great one. I think Tony Robbins is someone who tells stories about his life to illustrate his points. The third example, or the third type of teacher, is the educator. Educator just means anyone who takes some material, reads a book, studies some class notes, and then passes those on. Any substitute teacher that can walk into a classroom, read the notes, and then teach that to a class, that's a practitioner. Most teachers in a classroom, in a school setting, are educators. They are not true masters of mathematics. They are not leading a lifetime path of the pursuit of mathematics mastery. They just have a knowledge that they get from books, and they digestible versions of that give to people in their classes. And a lot of coaches, I would say, would be, well, let me start that again. I think a lot of ministers actually are in that role of educator. Study the Bible, take those stories, and share them with the parish. Probably overlap too with the practitioner, because most good pastors that I have listened to, they tell stories about their life, experiences they've had, weave that in with the source material so that you have a more relevant vantage point to understand these lessons that are, may not make sense from biblical times. There is confusion sometimes in, I think, let me start that again. I respond the best to the practitioner. If somebody comes at me with a bestowing of truth, I find that to be super off-putting. Unless they have absolutely earned this kind of prestige and respect from me. And maybe I'm stingy with my respect, but there's not that many people on the earth that I'm willing to just accept everything they say as truth. And when people do not acknowledge their weaknesses, do not acknowledge that they have stumbled or changed their mind or learned things or that there is any doubt or questioning to the truth that they bestow upon you, that concerns me. Unfortunately, many people respond dramatically to being told what is true. You can look at politics. No politician goes up and says, well, based on my experience so far, this is what I feel, but I recognize that, you know, it's a big confusing world and I might change my mind at any moment once I learn new information. You'd be crucified in the media for saying that. We even call out people and insult them and judge them if they change their mind. You're a flip-flopper. Like, that seems crazy to me that we expect our leaders to become politicians fully formed and no longer accept new information. That's crazy. We just learned that, you know, Pluto's not a planet. There might be another planet and gravitational waves are real. Like, that all happened in the last year, the lame duck year of Obama. So you say that what you thought was to be true when you were a burgeoning senator 20 years ago, you have to stick with that belief as you've seen more of the world and science and politics have seen so much more? That's crazy. And yet, experience and history shows us that the populace wants to be told this is truth. And it isn't until someone is pinned up against the wall and faced with like how you change your mind, then they might address that. And they would, if you're Trump, you'd say, no. And people crave that absoluteness, not just in politics. Some people crave it in all sorts of teachers. One thing that I struggle with in the self-help and motivational, field is that there's so many people that present information from a guru stance. I mean, they don't claim I'm a guru and I'm an enlightened master, but they present information, they present inspirational quotes and lessons as if they, their life experience led them to this truth. Boom. When I would guess that they are probably more like educators and practitioners. And so they have learned things as they are practicing. They've learned lessons from books and lectures, and they digest it, and then they try to share it. But if you say, hey, I'm strongly influenced by Tony Robbins and come to my seminar, then people go, well, I don't know, just go to a Tony Robbins seminar. I would argue that, sure, go to a Tony Robbins seminar, but that doesn't mean that the same information, the same ideas can't be presented in a more meaningful way to people when it's gone through the filter of another person. But I do react really negatively when people do not acknowledge their source material and do not acknowledge that they are stumbling and fumbling along the path just like you. Maybe there are people out there that, are enlightened masters, but I can't imagine that those same people would be, making webinars. I would imagine those people would be pretty far along in their oneness to not be, trolling social media to get people to buy their ebook. Not that there's anything wrong with webinars or ebooks. I just want people to recognize that they are practitioners and educators. That's me. And as I look out at the world and how people react to politicians, clearly a lot of people want to be told what is right from a guru. And because of, I can only assume that the people selling webinars are altering their sales pitch based on what works, that in that field, people also want to be told, this is truth. This is how to make more money. This is how to be more successful. This is the truth to your salvation. Different strokes for different folks, apparently. So I think that the key is to integrate all three of those things. And this is what I mean. I mean that the perfect teacher for me is one who is a practitioner. They are walking the path, they are learning, they are stumbling and learning from that and then sharing those lessons, acknowledging that they too stumble. Because when someone acknowledges that they stumble too, it makes it clear that this teacher is not some magical special being that is on a different level with you. It's like the difference between, like, if a cat is learning how to hunt from a tiger, the cat never thinks, well, I'm never gonna be a tiger. A cat wants to learn how to hunt from an awesome hunter cat. I don't think I've ever made a metaphor using a hunter cat before, but today's the day. So a practitioner sharing from that place, also drawing upon source materials, drawing upon the lessons of other people as an educator, pulling in and recognizing these wisdom of giants that came before them, the shoulders that they stand on. And then also, I think it's beautiful when people recognize that sometimes, especially when you have a dedicated practice, you will dip in to your guru nature. You will be totally in alignment with this divine truth. And sharing that process is a beautiful part and a true gift for a person to share. There is a difference between someone who says, sometimes I am so aligned to my truth that I have this experience, versus someone who says, I am in full alignment and let me share the truth. So that's the kind of teacher that I want to be in the world. And that's the kind of teacher that I think everyone should and can be in the world. Integrating all of those things, recognizing your faults and your stumbles, and using the path that you're on as a teaching aid. It's kind of like, you know, you could learn running from a Olympian, or you could learn it from your friend who's training for a marathon. The friend training for the marathon, as they are dealing with their aches and pains, they have a lot to teach. And all of us are like that. Whatever our practice is, we have tons to teach as we go along the journey, if we are recognizing that we are practitioners. I went to Wisdom 2.0 a couple weeks ago, recently, and I was happily surprised to hear how many of the speakers recognized that they were practitioners, that they struggle, that they have doubt, that they have dark times. And it really made me be able to fully embrace and chew on and like sit with their lessons, because these were people who were peers of all of us, who had dedicated huge amounts of time doing research and huge amount of times walking the walk, and then were sharing that, not as another species, but as us with a different set of experiences. Even Ram Dass, you know, a man who has walked the walk for decades, shared things about his uncertainty in his final chapter of his life. And that, I get that it would have been maybe more fulfilling to have this aged, beautiful man say, I have seen the truth and this is what happens in death, and oh, just trust and have faith in something else. But what he said was, here's some things I'm thinking about. Here's some things I wonder about. This is what I think's going to happen. Sharing it as a fellow journeyer on this amazing journey of life. That is how we can evolve and grow as people, as partners, as fellow human beings in this amazing journey. All of us, each of our individual lives and paths, every obstacle, every challenge, every struggle that each one of us has had, that is our practitioner knowledge base that we now have as a resource to the rest of humanity. So don't wait until you're a guru. Don't wait till you finish your human classwork. Recognize what you have to give and teach now and share it with the world. Thanks for letting me share. I love you. Ah. All right. Welcome everybody. Welcome Bridie and Lily and Tommy and Joyous. Welcome everybody who's in the chat room now. All right, we've got a hug on the agenda, but I'm rambling, so I'm gonna try to. This audio isn't too loud. I'm going to try to talk about. Well, actually, does anyone have? Should we talk about that? Well, let me. I'm very excited. I'm gonna talk about one more thing first. Welcome, Bongo. Welcome, Pinky. Sorry, I see it and then it takes a second. Everything I learned about leadership. No, wait. How does that? Okay. Everything I needed to know about leadership, I learned at Burning Man. I was at a conference recently and listened to these leaders in listening to these corporate leaders and really high-level executives talking about leadership. And as they were talking, I was like, I learned that at Burning Man. When Pink Heart was founded, the dream, the vision that came to me was, let's make a lighthouse for body, mind, and spirit. Let's make a physical lighthouse that you can use day or night with bright pink fabric and bright pink lights that you can calibrate where you are so you don't get lost. A place where you can sit on the couches and rest and recalibrate your body. A place where you can get cold water to recalibrate your system. And a place that you can sit down, look out over the playa, and discuss these mind-blowing experiences you're having so that you can recalibrate your spirit and anchor all of this magic. All under an umbrella of hot pink. And so once the vision started to kind of visualize in my head, I started sharing it, and very quickly we had this team of people, the original Pink Heart campmates, that came together to work on it and build it. And initially I was super focused on showering everyone with praise and appreciation. Thank you so much, thank you so much, oh, thank you so much, thank you so much. In my head, I was thinking that I had this vision and I had convinced these people to help me create my vision. And I was so appreciative because there's so much work that goes into it. Tons of labor, hard labor, organizing labor, just massive amounts of work, hours and hours. There was one guy, Mark, who spent every weekend pounding rebar on an anvil and just, and hot and sweaty and scars on his hands and just creating tons of this bent rebar that we needed for our structure. And I was like, thank you. And then something happened when we got to the playa. After we set it up, for the first time, and people were coming into it and experiencing the magic, that same guy, Mark, came up to me with tears in his eyes and said, "Thank you for letting me be a part of this." I was like, here I was thinking that I had convinced him, and that he was kind of gifting all this labor to me in a way that I could never repay him. And here he was in his mind thanking me, appreciating the opportunity to be a part of this thing. And I was like, it all shifted. Right, this is not my camp. This is not my vision. This is a vision that I channeled, and then everybody starts adding their gifts to it. My gift that I added was the clarity of the vision. Mark's gift was anvil. Other people's gift was decorating. Other people's gift was organizing. And everybody gives because they are so appreciative of an opportunity to use their energy, their labor, their efforts towards something with purpose, towards something in alignment with their heart. And I realized that that opportunity is rare. So many people live their whole lives never getting to put their efforts towards something that is truly in alignment with their purpose. They have to make money. They have to do what is required for their families. And this ability, this opportunity to put your labor into something that makes you so proud is a true gift. And at this conference, these big executives, this guy, Fred Kaufman, he has a book called Conscious Capitalism. He's just a brilliant man. He said, a leader doesn't need to convince people to follow him. A leader needs to get people to love what he loves and be inspired by what inspires him. A leader needs to get people to love what he loves and be inspired by what inspires him. It's like, right, that's how Pink Heart works. And what's amazing is that now that it has momentum, and now that so many of the campmates have experienced Pink Heart and hosted Pink Heart and added their energy to Pink Heart, that this vision is no longer anchored into my head. This vision exists and it has blossomed. And so most of the returning campmates are in alignment with the vision so strongly that it doesn't, all I need to do is every once in a while chime in with a reminder of what I think things should be, but really trusting that this group has become so much a part of this vision that it is not something outside of us anymore. It is part of who we are. An example of a realignment that just happened, we were talking about different food items that we were going to serve, and I reminded people of one of the policies that we've had and why. We have traditionally only given vegan, non-alcoholic food items. So we've given cucumber water and the vegan coconut milk ice cream. The reason being, we wanted to have something that was kind of the lowest common denominator of dietary needs, with the exception of, you know, weird allergies. But we wanted anyone on the playa, any age, any sort of dietary restrictions, we wanted to be able to serve everyone and have the lowest common denominator of suffering. So even though I don't know if we even have any vegans in our camp anymore, we want to make our gift that kind of pure. Now, I presented that as my attempt to kind of recalibrate what we were doing based on where we've been in the past. But I also recognize that since this is no longer my vision that's happening, you know, it is now a discussion. And we all need to tune in to this part of us that is creating this. And each of us become leaders in creating that. And if that takes us in a place that is not what I once thought it was, I have faith and I trust that that the magic will be perfect. So if you are headed to Burning Man, I hope that you will visit Pink Heart and let us know if you feel the vibe. And I know that Fink is in the room. Actually, Tommy's in the room, and so is Fink. I don't know if there's any other campmates in the room, but they might chime in and tell me that I'm full of pink crap. That's very possible. All right. Welcome, Shannon and Bongo and Jessica. And Vortex and 808. The Pink Ride this year will be Thursday at noon. I think it's every year it's the Thursday at noon. Oh, and Jessica is sharing the Buddha's advice to spiritual practitioners. Awesome. Quote, I shall show you how the Dharma are similar to a raft, being for the purpose of crossing over, not for the purpose of grasping. The teachings are a tool for helping us on our own unique journey. Our raft will help you cross the river, but it is not the destination. Buddhism is one of many tools I carry on my spiritual utility belt. That is beautiful. Yeah, there's a similar teaching that I like in that alignment is don't mistake your finger for the moon. You know, the finger that is pointing to the moon, saying that is spiritual truth. That is oneness. That is enlightenment. And then we get so focused on the finger, the teachings, the dogma, the books, the people, and we lose track that all the material, worldly things that are our spiritual tools are just that, tool. They're just the raft. All right, let's have ourselves a hug. Wherever you are, grab yourself by the shoulders. Whoops. Well, it stopped recording. I guess that's okay. You know what? Let me fix that. All right. I wonder if that's going to work. It's a little distracting. Okay. All right. Grab yourself by the shoulders and know that this body too is just a raft. This body is a tool to help you experience life, to help you have interactions with other spirits, to help you have obstacles and lessons and all the amazing things about being a human being. This is the main playing piece of our board game. This is the way we have a practice. And so let's be appreciative of this body and recognize that it is not who we are. That deep down, beneath our labels and deep down beneath who we side with in struggles and all of our thoughts, deep down beneath that is an energy that flows through us. And when we strip away all of our experiences and thoughts, that divine light that shines through us is pure love. And that shining light shines through everyone. It is merely the obstacles in the way that create our conflicts. So let's let go of all of that's in the way in ourselves and in others and have 3 breaths together as simply those beams of light shining as one all around the planet. Recognizing that no matter what you hear in the news, no matter how people act, we are far more alike than we are different. And people would much rather hug you than hurt you. All right, let's take 3 breaths in through the nose. Last one. on behalf of Grandpa Caleb and all the Love Warriors, happy Hug Nation. I love you. Lilla Pinkheart is usually at 8:45 in Esplanade. Usually you can see it from the man. So hopefully that will be the same this year. First year at the Burn, Bongo. Woohoo! So do you have a ticket already, Bongo? I do not yet. So we Pinkheart does get a set number of tickets that we have to distribute among our numbers, and we got about a third less than we have in years past. So it's going to be interesting. Thank you, Jessica. I'm excited. Did you know it's Leap Day? It's Leap Day. February 29th, right? That day only comes once every 4 years. So if you want to be careful you don't get married today or do anything that have an anniversary, unless you don't want to celebrate, once every 4 years. I wonder if there's anything like really clever you could do today. I've heard that tradition is that a woman asks a man to marry them on this day. But let me stop that right there and say I'm just not ready. So before you type that in the chat room, I'm flattered, but no. Yeah, tickets are going to be a tough one this year. It's in last year. Well, let's see. I think the first year that they did the early tickets that you could buy, I think they were $500 maybe. If you want to pay extra to get it to know that you got a ticket, and then they were $600, and then last year they were $800, and then this year $1,000 and $1,200 was the levels for if you wanted to guarantee you got a ticket and buy one early. But that's now I actually wish that I would have done it, just because I think that I know somebody that would want one that would be willing to pay that much. In fact, if I couldn't get one, I would be willing to pay that much. But I'm hoping that, and having faith that our camp will get enough. You have a friend born on Leap Day, so they're like 17 years old or 6 years old or something like that. That's so cool. I think that was a plot line of a book I read when I was a kid, now that I think about it. Of course, you probably say that about anything. Somebody, yeah, it was on the somebody's birthday, or on this year of on the anniversary of, or the 6th anniversary of their, something like that, and it all fell into place because of the Leap Day. Yeah. Okay. Lilla, do I need to bring a gift? Lilla asks, do I need to bring a gift to Burning Man? What an awesome question, and a often misunderstood concept. Burning Man is based on gifting, meaning there is no commerce, there is no transactional interactions, which is what governs most of our world. So you don't need to bring a gift. If there's things that you have that you would like to share, whether that is talents or food items or performances or anything that you have to share is welcome. And if you have something to share, you have something to gift, it really makes your ability to connect with people easier, because it's like a super easy open door. Hey, can I give you something? So many people bring like trinkety type bracelets and stuff to give away, and that's fine, but I would try to break your head out of the idea that you need to bring a gift or gifts to give away in the traditional sense of a physical thing. Many people don't really tune into what the gift they want to give is until they're there, and they start to see themselves differently in the world. And you see that, oh, I'm an artist, or I actually love giving foot massages. I'm good at it, and I love the way it feels when somebody is, I love giving somebody that gift of relief after a long day of walking around the playa. And so I'm going to give foot massages. Actually, it's a woman in our camp, that's her thing. And so she'll go to center camp with a bunch of oil and a towel and just ask, well, hey, can I give you a foot massage? So yes, bring gifts, but don't limit what you define gifts as. The other part of that to keep in mind and to be aware of is that come as a good receiver. Be willing to receive gifts. Gifting is a magical thing because it allows the giver to feel good about giving something and the receiver to feel good about what they receive. But if you receive something and then deny it or say, oh, I don't have anything to give you, what you're doing is robbing the other person of the joy of giving that gift. It's like if you cook a meal for someone and as they're eating, they go, oh gosh, I didn't bring any wine. Like, you don't want that reaction. What you want to hear is, oh, this is good, thank you. And when they appreciate it, that's all you want. It makes you feel good. If they want to give a gift of wine on its own, let them have the joy of giving that gift and feeling good that they made you feel good with that gift. Does that make sense? So this is actually the kind of most often forgotten or misunderstood aspect of the gift economy, is that give your gifts and graciously receive gifts. Let that flow happen. You are a critical part of the system as you receive. Oh, darn it. Let's see if that fixed it. Dun, dun, dun. Not yet. Let's see. Did I lose battery? You are a critical part of the gifting equation. And I think you'll be surprised by how much it can affect you as you start to give things and see people light up and see how good it can make people feel when you say thank you. We have a tendency to kind of go to dismiss or oh, you shouldn't give that to me. Oh, no, I don't deserve that. And you rob the other person of the joy of giving. You may also find that you like giving so much that it'll change your whole understanding of who you are in the world. And the traditional pattern that we've been taught of acquiring things as a way of getting happier will be replaced by the recognition that the more people I gift to, the happier I am. Because each person that I make happier, I get to feel a little bit of that, or a lot of that. And that is a scalable solution. You are only one person. You can only get so many new phones and so many new toys, so much prestige, so much money, but there are billions of people that can make you happier as you make them happier. Pongo, I like that idea. It's very trusting. I don't know if you've seen that, that there's Amanda Palmer today, a famous, I think it was at a concert or someplace where she handed out Sharpies and just let people write all over her naked body. Bongo, I think that that's a good question. Is that gifting? Well, it is gifting in that you are gifting a piece of art and participation. I think it's more along the lines of radical self-expression and participation than it is a gifting. But who knows? All right. What else is going on? End of February. Oh, got a couple speaking things coming up. If anyone is going to go to Lucidity, I'm speaking twice there. I'm giving 2 talks there. And I'm also speaking at Manipulation, which is a Flow Arts Festival in Idlewild that's coming up. I think both of those are in April. Sweet, you got the Pink Path video 4 or 5 years ago. Awesome. If you're not familiar with that, Jake Tyson and I made a movie. It's like a 23-minute movie, something like that, about Burning Man and about Pink Heart. It's called The Pink Path. And you can actually search The Pink Path on Google, maybe even put Burning Man or Halcyon in there somewhere. And it should take you to a link of the movie. And it was, you know, it's now free to view online. So I welcome everyone to check it out. New York. All right, I'll be right there. I'll be there for dinner. You know, we'll see. That I'm trying to ramp up my getting out there. So maybe there is an opportunity to come to New York soon. Who knows? Speaking of seeing over the weekend, I saw Deadpool. You guys seen that? I didn't see many of the Academy Award nominations. I guess I saw The Martian, which I loved, but I didn't see that many of the other movies. Saw Straight Outta Compton. Was that nominated? Just kidding. And A Pole Class. I'm in. Well, actually, I take that back. I'm way too feeble for that. Downward Dog is about as rigorous as my workouts have been lately because of a shoulder injury and a thumb injury. But I'll watch your pole class and cheer. Does that count? Is that creepy? Probably. Deadpool. All right. I won't give it away. But I will say that I get why people are so enthusiastic about it. It is so self-aware. It makes so many jokes about comic book movies, about itself, about the actors that are in the movie. There are jokes about the actors, which is a kind of high level of humor, I think, that you know, no way that could have been pulled off 10 years ago. But you know, because of the internet and Comic-Con, and there's this kind of ever escalating cleverness that I think audiences are now ready for. It was fun. Techie guru, I did not mean to imply or put down that you're guru-ish, and I think that you can also use guru in a especially when I mean, it's one thing to say, like, have a staff and a robe and say I am a guru, or you know, or it's another thing to use it kind of like tech guru is. It feels almost playful, and I think that is, it's kind of like tech ninja. You're not a real ninja. That's not. I mean, you're not claiming that you're a ninja. You're claiming that you're really good at something. You're using the term as a metaphor almost, and so I think that's. I think you're just fine. Full credit. Although, man, it's funny what people pick. I mean, I never had a really bad screen name that as a kid, but I know some people that have had some really bad ones. You're like, ugh, does that still follow me around? My AOL, you know, nice butt. 42@aol.com. All right, I have to run to the restroom. Be right back. Boom, boom, boom. Sorry about that. I just had something I was going to say. Well, I'm appreciating that you are here, and something about, man. All right, I lost my train of thought. So I will share. We've got like 10 more minutes if we want. If we've got stuff that we want to talk about. Thank you for being here in the chat room. Can you see me in the mirror there? I should be careful about that. That's a good reason. I'm wearing pants today, but I don't always. So that's a good reminder that I should definitely keep the pants on if I'm going to be trotting off camera. Should I talk just a little bit, one more political rant? So, I posted a endorsement of Bernie Sanders a couple weeks ago, and the response to it was challenging for me. There was tons of people that were very supportive and were, yay, all right, thanks for speaking out, and it got shared a bunch of times, and so by being shared outside of my circle of friends, a number of people were drawn into the conversation that were not as kind-hearted and well-versed in nonviolent communication as most of my friends, as most of you are. And so it got a little heated, and some people got a little aggressive, and I had to ban somebody, like the 6th person I've ever banned on my Facebook page. But most of all, I guess what I realized in looking back over the conversation is that most of it was pretty civil. And people, for the most part, were appreciating the dialogue. At first, I got really, I posted in a huff that I'm never going to speak out again. This was so frustrating. But I had a number of people say, I was kind of undecided, and you've made me really change my mind. And that made me realize, okay, well then it is important to speak your mind. I guess I was in the frame of mind that, all political dialogue is people just going, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right, I'm right. And then you both leave all worked up going, okay, no one changed their mind. We both just like spewed out and feel good about everything we said, but no one on the other side is changing their mind. And my experience from, after I took a step back and listened to a number of people, some of which did not participate in the thread, was that it was helpful. And it took me a few days of distance from it. What I felt in the days right afterwards, I was like stressed and heavy, and I couldn't think about anything else. And that's why I decided, like, look, I can't do this anymore. It takes such a toll on me. It's almost like I get sick, and then I have to get well from this sickness of belief and thought. And so I'm like, I don't want to do that anymore. But when I now think about that maybe this is part of my service, this is part of my sacrifice or my strength as a warrior, is that I have to be willing to get sick with this energy and then find a way to get well again, because it is a potentially rough and dirty thing. It's not violent in a physical way, but it is definitely a battle. So I am still, even more so, a fan of Bernie Sanders. I believe that our fundamental flaw in our system is that money affects elections. Money makes politicians, or the requirement of money by politicians to stay and get elected, has this corrupting effect. And even though the Constitution is this beautiful is this beautiful document that has self-correcting means in it, those self-correcting means are no longer effective when elections, the means by which the people can change and shift things, are so dominated and so controlled by power structure. The same power structure that controls media, the same power structure that controls corporations, controls the politicians. And not control like they're puppets, but affects things. There's no way that we would be invading countries like we do without the corporate pressure to do so. Now we get convinced of reasons why we do. But you know, you're crazy if you think that everything that we do is trying to stop weapons of mass destruction or fight terrorism. Maybe you're not crazy. I'll take that back. You know what? I take that back. That's exactly the kind of dialogue that is not helpful. To me, it is hard to accept that our imperialist tendencies are not massively impacted by the pressure of Wall Street and our corporate needs. And so when people start to debate with me certain aspects of Bernie's policies, my feeling is that that's secondary. What I'm voting for, what I'm excited about, is the opportunity to regain the very tool by which the people can fix the system, which is honest and representative elections. Until we have that, it hardly matters what the issues are, because as we've seen, the politicians will say one thing and do another. It's only if we can get to a corrected system that we then can start trying to get policies pushed through. Because, you know, the president is not a dictator. The president can't do whatever they want. They don't get to implement their policies. They have to work with Congress. It has to be checked by the judicial branch. But all of those things are in jeopardy while we have corporations affecting laws and affecting politicians and affecting policy. And you can see the steady increased benefits of our laws towards corporations and the super elite. And if you are a corporation and you will save $100 billion by a little wording in a bill that is less, you know, harsh penalties about something, and it means that you'll only have to pay, you know, $100 million, and it's going to save you, you know, billions. No brainer. You'll fund every campaign possible so that all those people feel a little indebted to you, and you can shape their reality a little bit because you'll have an audience with them. Anyways, getting off track, and we're closing in on the 2 o'clock hour, but I feel like our system, our our world is in a very tense place. And I feel like the system is clearly, we're seeing the tension. We're seeing the disparate, we're seeing the distance between the poor and rich getting bigger. We're seeing people feeling more and more like they're oppressed and they don't have options, and that they're going to go to prison or be beaten, whether they follow the rules or not. At what point do we say, let them eat cake? Or at what point is violent revolution the only option? I believe that Bernie Sanders is a form of peaceful revolution. And if we don't actively find ways of peaceful revolution, we will either have violent revolution or a fascist state, zero privacy state. And I'm willing to sacrifice quite a bit of Wall Street, of economic success, if we can steer us back on track. So I think it's not too different from what I said last time, but I want to say it again. Vote Bernie Sanders. Vote for a return to the way America can work without the corruption. All right. Hopefully that wasn't too wacky or too out there. With communication, all things are possible. Well said, Kaki, and good to see you. Bonguast, I do not have any pets. I will not eat them in a house. I will not eat them with a mouse. I do not like green eggs and ham. I like green eggs. I don't like ham. I don't eat meat. Oh, What to Invade Next? I have not seen that movie. Did you see that the woman, this congressman who just stepped down from the Democratic National Committee so that she could endorse Bernie Sanders? She is a servicewoman, a veteran, and the reason why she wanted to endorse Bernie Sanders was kind of like, whoa, to me. She said that Bernie Sanders is the only candidate who will not, who will truly show restraint in imperialist actions in military force overseas. I'm saying it wrong, but I'm sure it's popped up on your Facebook feed. It's all over mine. This is a very interesting election for sure. Your son said he's worried about the planet and the animals. Oh, how old's your son? Right, the DNC vice chair, that was pretty significant, from Hawaii. Right. All right, well, it is now 2 o'clock. Thank you for being here, Vortex. Thank you for being here, everyone who is live in the chat room. Looks like we did pretty good technically wise today with audio and visual, a couple stops and starts, but at least I got to look you in the eye and tell you that you're amazing, and I love you, and I'm so grateful that we get to have this time together. Have a beautiful week. Thank you for being you. I love you.